everybody, and welcome to the Freedom Network. I am Gary Rosenberg, your host. So glad that you're with us here tonight, right here on the Freedom Network. Glad that you decided to tune in. Wherever you're tuning in from, you're welcome to be here. We are so happy that you did decide to join us once again. We're kind of getting out of the summer and getting more into that every week feel. Like I said last time, liberals beware. Liberals beware. The Freedom Network is back. In any event, I've got email lines open, phone lines open. I believe they're on the screen. I can't see the screen, but I believe that they're on the screen. timagary@gmail.com is how you can very easily get right into the show. You don't even have to get on the air. And if you'd like to get on the air, just use the phone number. That's all. That's on the screen, too. Just pick up the phone and dial on in. Any topic, of course. As always, we're going to talk a little bit about Iran today. We're going to talk about all different kinds of stuff. We're going to talk about Common Core, hoping to have a guest possibly calling in. Hopefully was going to be here. We'll see. It can get a little bit tough sometimes, I guess. Traffic, we're on at 7 o'clock. So we'll see what happens if indeed we do wind up having that person. So there's all kinds of things happening. Also, I want to let you know, Dr. Catherine Stickney, superintendent of our Northbridge Public Schools, local from where we broadcast from, will be on tonight with Harry. You know Harry from 3 on 11. 3 on 11, I'm sorry. They'll be on right after us at 8 o'clock. So you can check that out as well. So we've got you covered from now until probably about 9 o'clock. Right here, locally, NCTV 11 if you're local. And obviously online. We know that a lot of people have been tuning in online, and we appreciate it. Woo! That's a mouthful to get out there, isn't it? I know it. Alrighty. In any event, you can find us on Facebook also. All you got to do is find me on Facebook. If you can't find me, don't worry about it. If you find me, you can find my groups. But you most certainly can get an email link. If you need to, you can get an email link. And look, emails are coming in now. Let's see. Let's see now. My camera angles are different. Things are different. I had planned for a guest. Maybe we'll... Oh, and by the way, before we get to the emails, I want to let you know, we did get the 1,450 million emails about the government cam. We haven't played it now in 1 month, so we will be able to play it tonight for you, most likely. But the emails are coming in. So let's get to one right now, and then we'll go over some that came in before, and then we'll jump into the belly of the program. If our guest decides that we're going to be able to make it in, then we will be all set to be able to do that. Whoop. All right, give me 1 sec. We're going to get you in there in just 1 sec. I do believe we'll have our guest. This is Donna coming in. Is this not? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. So let me just go through a few things, and then we will get to, as advertised, Common Core and find out all about that kind of stuff. We're going to do a few things first. We'll take a quick break, and then we'll bring her right in here, get her a chair, and make her all nice and comfortable. All right, so anyway, Jim emails in. So, Gary, you tell me you are a Constitution guy above all. If this holds true, then you can no longer support Trump. He says if you were born here, that does not make you an American. 14th Amendment clearly says different. Jim, I'd have to check in on that. I mean, this guy's got so many quotes, I'd have to look at it, and I don't know if I'm a Trump guy. I don't know. I know I hear what people are hearing that they're liking that's driving him in the polls. Another one, let's see, prepare to disagree. I vote no. DPW, for now, PD and fire department need some funding. That's a separate one. That's not Jim. I don't know if I disagree with you, to be quite honest with you. What I don't like is that we just spent all this money on equipment that's going to sit outside and rust. That I don't love. So we'll have to check that out and see what it is. But, there was another email that came in. Let me find this one. Who's this one? I think this was from Sonny. And Sonny talks about the selectmen meeting and talking about all kinds of extra money and rainy day money and free cash. And you know how much I love that saying. All that kind of stuff. So here's my deal. Sonny, you may have a point, and I'm going to tell you why, bud. Because a rainy day fund is for when you're broke, when you have no money and you've got serious needs in the town. I think we're broke, and I think we've got some serious needs in the town. If we've got a few $1 million kicking around, I think we should explore spending some of that money on some of the things that we do need. All right. Anyway, Gary, you spot on with the gun debate. I mean, really, what don't people understand? I hope you talk about this issue again. Larry, we will. Let's see here. What else did I grab? Brian, what are your thoughts on the Iran deal? I know you don't like it, but why? Well, I got some info on it. I don't know if I'll get to it tonight, Brian, but here's where I am with that. We got Russia that's going to be selling missiles to Iran now. The sanctions will be lifted. I just think on this basis that it probably stinks. You use missiles to attack people. Excuse me. Now, I know there are many schools of thought on this, but sanctions are lifted, 24 days notice to inspect. Americans still in Iran are held against their will. We didn't seem to get anything. That isn't a deal. That's appeasement. You know how I feel about appeasement, so that's how I feel, Brian. Laura, well, she says, hey, Gary, what do you think about Jeb Bush? Everyone's talking Trump, including Jimmy. Why do you think Jeb Bush has faltered? Well, Laura, all right, first of all, this was pointed out to me from one of my friends on the left. His name is John Ellis Bush. So when we call him Jeb Bush, it's a double whatever it is there. We could argue about that forever. Anyway, it stands for John Ellis Bush, so you don't need to add the Bush after Jeb. This is what my liberal friend says. Now, someone, points this stuff out to me. I like to get it on the air. But here's the real reason, because he is the establishment. Laura, Trump is not the establishment. That's why he's getting the traction he's getting. He doesn't play by their rules. Jeb plays by all the rules. From 1988 to what could be 2020, we're going to be looking at Bushes, Clintons, and Obamas, and then back to Bushes. Or if Hillary wins, we'll be back to Clintons. That's a long time. 1988 to 2020 is a long time. I think people are saying enough, and that's why Hillary is behind Sanders in many polls, and Jeb is behind Trump. I think it's a sign of the time. Do I think that's going to change up a little bit? Yeah, I do. I think it will change up just a little bit. Logan, this will be the last one I'll go over. Then I'll get you that government can. I know you love it, and then we'll bring our guest in and talk some just a great issue coming up. Logan, I wanted to get to your email. It was moving and fantastic. Hey, Gary, what's up? I'm in high school and live in a town close by. My dad watches your show, and sometimes I watch with him. I saw on your show about a kid that you met at the fireworks that read the Constitution because you always tell everyone to do so. So I read it also. It was a little confusing, but I think I get it. I asked my teacher if we could do a class just on the Constitution, and she said no. I asked her why we haven't had a class on it yet, and she said it was not on her to-do list. And what's ironic, Gary, is we then learned about Karl Marx. I'm not kidding you. My dad is mad. He said to email you, so I did. I sent you the info below, but please keep that off of the show and read this and everything above. Thanks, Gary. See below. Logan, fantastic. Keep reading the Constitution. And now that you've read the Constitution, I'm going to make you another challenge. I want you to go read the Federalist Papers, okay? Go read the Federalist Papers. It'll take you a little time, but read them. Read them all, and I think that you'll really enjoy them. And I can't thank you enough for joining in and being involved in the great experiment called freedom in America. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Common Core, and we're going to talk about ending Common Core. And I'd love your thoughts, your emails, your calls, however you want to do it. But we'll have an in-studio guest that's going to be able to really dig into this issue and tell you all the facts. So we'll be right back on the Freedom Network.
Hey everybody, gather round. I'm here to give you anything you like. You want free college, energy, mortgages, whatever you like. You have come to the right place. Why? I'll tell you why. Who can take your money?
Who can take your money?
With a twinkle in their eye.
A twinkle in their eye.
Take it all away and give it to some other guy. The government.
The government.
The government can.
The government can.
Who can tax the sunrise?
Who can tax the sunrise?
Who can tax the trees?
Who can tax the trees?
Let you run a business and collect up all the fees. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government can, 'cause they mix it up with lies and make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
The government takes everything we make to pay for all of their solutions. Healthcare, climate change, pollution. Throw away the Constitution. And who can give a bailout?
Who can give a bailout?
Tell us to behave.
Tell us to behave.
And make the founding fathers roll over in the grave. The government.
The government.
Oh, the government can.
The government can.
And the government taste good.
Make it all taste good.
The government takes everything we make. They're power hungry and malicious. Their economics are fictitious. Soon we'll have to eat our dishes.
Delicious.
Oh, who can be a failure
Can be a failure
in so many ways?
in so many ways.
And instead of getting fired, hey, we'll give ourselves a raise. The government,
The government,
oh, the government can.
the government can.
And the government can, 'cause they mix it up well how to make it all taste good.
Make it all taste good.
And your Uncle Sam can, 'cause he mixes it well as it makes it all taste good.
Makes it all taste good.
And it feels so good, 'cause the government says I should.
And we're back right here on the Freedom Network. I am joined by Donna Colorio right here, and she's from N Common Core Mass, right?
Yes,
All right.
correct.
Welcome to the Freedom
Thank
Network.
you. Thank
so
you for
happy that you
having
decided
me.
to come on. Oh, we're
I'm so
we're-
excited.
We're happy to have you on, and our viewers are actually happy to have you on. We've talked about this before. It's not something that I have a huge amount of expertise on, and when I saw your information out there and what you folks were trying to do, it really stuck right out to me. It really did. I think it's a worthy cause, but I want to learn more about it, and our viewers certainly want to learn more about it. Now, you can certainly call in if you'd like. You can email in if you want to email in after the fact. I will forward emails over to
That would be
Donna.
great.
But
Thank you.
Donna, what are you trying to do?
Okay, well, first of all, people want to know what is Common Core. Okay, so Common Core is the federal kind of takeover of education, if you want to make it a one-liner. And what it is we have and had standards in Massachusetts with ed reform. Those standards said at grade 1, the kids are to learn this. At grade 2, we want them to achieve this, et cetera, et cetera. So when Common Core came about, this was the federal government telling us what to do at each grade. Now, in some states, like Mississippi or Arkansas, that would be a good thing. But in Massachusetts, we were #1 in the country. And we adopted standards that were less than Massachusetts standards for more money, and we get less quality, and we are now online with Arkansas and Mississippi and other states. So just look at the word common. What does common mean? Common is common. It's every day. What's a common denominator? It's where you meet in the middle. Okay? So we are meeting in the middle. Okay? So we are not the best in the, we are learning what other states. So we're all, like Massachusetts is coming down to meet the middle. These are what these standards are. And in a time, now people from your program may say, well, you know what? You cannot have nationalized standards. And they're right. You can't have nationalized standards. But in a time where the states were cash strapped, they took a grant money, Race to the Top grant money. And part of the grant money was to say you would do certain things. One, you would adopt the Common Core standards as they are. You could add 15%, but you would have to go along with those standards as they were written. Number 2, you would also adopt an assessment that would test the standards. And at the time, it was Smarter Balance and PARC. We are now in a trial period with PARC. Number 3, you would have to expand your data on the kids. And you would have to pinpoint certain things. So you would have to expand your data mapping, they call it. 4, you would have to tie the teachers' evaluations in with the Common Core standards. So I don't know about you, but I'm a teacher. I teach at the college at Quinsigamond Community College. I've been there for 20-something years. And what I have found that no two classes are alike. Sometimes
Sure.
I get students that aren't so great, they're just there. And sometimes I get students that are great. So it really depends on your class. And a good teacher can motivate their students, but sometimes you cannot predict what their grades are going to be. You're not going to get straight A's all the time. So what this was doing is that if you are not producing at a certain level, you're gone. So is it really fair? I believe it is not fair. I believe we need other measurements. Now, do we need assessments? Yes, we need assessments.
So what does that look like, Donna? Not to interrupt you, but there's a definite I mean, we expect of kids, right? We test them,
Yes,
and they need to pass the test to move on.
yes.
So what would the equivalent then be without this or what would an idea be? Or what kind of standards would we have for teachers?
Well, we have the Massachusetts standards.
Okay.
Okay, great standards, number one in the country. And in fact, we were number one and I'll get to that in a couple minutes, in many of the international assessments. Massachusetts tested it as its own country many times and came out on top. And what that means is we have standards. So if people think this is like a new thing, these standards, they're not. At Ed Reform in '93, we developed standards, and along with the standards, we developed an assessment test which they called the MCAS. Okay, so the MCAS test the Massachusetts standards. Now, originally, the MCAS was only supposed to be 4th, 8th, and then graduation. But as it evolved, it got more and more grades use the MCAS. So now, I think we're using too much testing in the school. I think we need to test periodically to find out if our kids are on track, but the teachers need a little bit more leeway to be able to do what they do best, which is teach.
Okay, fair enough. When we look at test scores, like you say, and we see Massachusetts as number one, and you had mentioned that it can, what we've done is we've lowered the bar. Are we seeing that now in test results? Are we seeing the numbers go down at all?
Okay, so funny that you ask. We have this graph here. If we want to zoom in on this
Can
graph.
you zoom in on that?
Can we zoom in on it?
I don't know if we can.
Okay.
We
well,
might be able to.
That's okay, because if you can't, I have a PDF copy.
Oh, look, you can. Look at that. The whole,
Okay,
that comes
so
in.
this graph is called the National, let me just read it so I can read it correctly. National Report Card, or the National Assessment of Educational Progress. And each year, Massachusetts, I'm getting confused, like my hand's going one way, I know it's going the opposite. And what we see is, since we implemented, or we started moving towards the Massachusetts standards in '93, we have gradually gone up. In some years we've leveled out, but basically we've gone up. Since we implemented, right here, we implemented the Common Core in 2010, this is 2011, and this is 2013, we dropped 4 points.
Wow.
Okay? Now, people say, oh, well, that's only 4 points. 4 points is equivalent to a half a year of learning. A half a year of learning. And no, I'm saying we dropped, yeah. No, we dropped 5 points.
5 points.
So it's a half a year of learning. When you drop a half a year of learning, we've never dropped this. So if people go to the argument, well, we just, put the MCAT, we just put the Common Core in, what do you expect, what do you expect? Well, we didn't do it when we just put the new Massachusetts standards in. So you're asking yourself, well, what's different? What's different in the Common Core?
I mean, I think that's because like I've heard, it's a different way of looking at things. I know one issue that I have, and I've got an email in there, so I'll use your email. It's my comment too, but we'll use yours, Dave. We can no longer help our kids with homework. The average guy or girl out there that doesn't have, a ton of education, they're bringing home this stuff, and we're saying, oh yeah, I know how to do that. You do this, you do that, you do this. And they're like, no, that's not how we learned it. You can't do this, you can't do that. So what it seems to be doing to parents is alienating us from the whole education process.
Well, you one thing you said was incorrect, with a ton of education. Now, I know people with a master's degree and a PhD in math and science, they can't help their kid.
Well, there
so
you go.
It doesn't matter what your educational background is, because we've all gone through basic math. Some of us have done advanced math courses in college, but you can't help your kid because it's not teaching. It's not teaching the kids different method. It's teaching the teachers how to teach. It's crazy sort of math. Now, the thing is, you ask, first of all, the standards are inferior. Massachusetts based their English standards on a very rich literature, classic literature, poetry and drama, okay? Common Core cuts 60% of that out and goes to what they call informational text. Now you say, well, what's informational text? Well, look at some of the books that your kids are reading. I know my daughter has read books on, what was it last year? And economics for her English class. Her English teacher doesn't know anything about economics, but she's reading about economics. They read manuals. They had to read the school committee policy book. What that does is it does not allow any kind of creative thinking. Creative thinking in high vocabulary has to do with classical literature. So it cuts down on that. Common Core contains no pathway to pre-calculus and calculus. It's a very, very, very watered down algebra. Now they've repackaged it, and some of them they're calling them Math 1 and Math 2. You don't really know when your kid's getting Algebra 1 and Algebra 2, and it's pushing the algebra up until the 9th grade. Now, kids that take Algebra 1 in
Really?
the 8th grade are on a STEM track, science, technology, engineering, math track, which they can then compete in the best schools in the country. When you do not have that jump start in the 8th grade of that Algebra 1, you lose out on that track.
You know, I see this as a multi-pronged issue. I think that we've got a serious issue with the government getting too involved with education. And not to your point, to bring it all in this homogenized, because there should be no winners, there should be no losers, everybody's the same. And to me, the whole premise of that kind of gets me crazy. But when we start to see it in education, and we're seeing a detachment of parents and being really involved with some of that, and building some of those good habits, with the kids, with the studying and all that kind of stuff. When you're frustrated with it, your child gets frustrated with it. And you're right, your comment before, it delays things that could be taught or learned now. I mean, I know that I was learning things, it seemed sooner than what they're learning now.
Well, I agree with it. It does replace local control, and it does replace parental control. So the two experts in education are parents and teachers. They are not the administrators from your, department. They're not the superintendent. They're not the people that work for the Department of Ed in Boston or Malden. They're not the governor. They're not the state reps. They're not the federal government. They're not the Governors Association. They're not Pearson, which is the testing corporation that developed the PARCC test. Those are not the experts. The experts are the parents and the teachers. And when you have the Common Core curriculum that is void of local people's input, then what you have is nationalized education.
Which is completely not how it's supposed to work. And see, this is where a lot of my Freedom Network viewers, will hit a real chord with them, because that's not how it's supposed to work. The federal government's not supposed to control your education. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be local as local can be. I mean, that was the intent of the entire program, if you will. And it just seems as though it's spiraling further and further out of control. What about nationally? I mean, have we seen any rise? Has there been any positive results out of this that we can point to?
Well, yes, we've seen some. First of all, the first part of the puzzle is the testing. So if you can get in your state, if you can opt out of that testing, it's one less thing is tied to the Common Core. And we've seen a lot of states really up in arms with the testing, either Smarter Balance or PARCC. We are we did 2 years of a trial with PARCC. Now the department, the Board of Ed will take a vote up in October or November, I'm not sure, whether we are going to move forward with the PARCC or we are going to continue with the MCAS. Now, the interesting thing is the PARCC started with 24 states in its consortium. And the consortium means that you're all together, Arkansas, Mississippi, New York, and I can't remember Colorado, I can't remember what all the states were. And what together you set where you're going to think the bar is or what the passing score is. So if we're in a consortium with Arkansas and Mississippi, who are the bottom performers in the country, our level of whether you're going to pass or not is going to be way down there. So we are not going to expect as much from our students. So the consortium started with 24. It's now down to, I believe, 7 or 8.
Oh boy.
Let me ask you this.
Oh, boy.
If you were to buy a car from a dealership, right, that lost 50%, lost half of their customers, would you think that was a good choice or a bad choice? I personally would think they were failure, and I think they would be spiraling downward.
I would have to agree with you on that. I mean, it seems as though, people are dumping this. Now, we're talking, anyway, if you're just joining us, Donna Calorio, and Common Core Mass. Now, the website for them, ncommoncorema.com.
Correct. And that's where, and we'll talk about the ballot question is the next
Yeah.
part of it. And that's where you can go to get more information on what we're doing. We have a ballot question that is now in front of the AG's office, Attorney General's office, waiting for whether it will pass the language, the legal language will pass. And once that happens on September 2nd, hopefully, we will be good to go, and we'll have to collect over 100,000 raw signatures, and we could use everybody's help in doing that.
So if you want to get involved, and I can get you this information, certainly, but you can go right online, ncommoncorema.com, check them out, see what's going on with that. As we talk about, getting rid of it, I think the logical question is what replaces it?
Well, what we proposed in our ballot question would be to restore the Massachusetts state standards.
So to go back to where we were in 20...
Well, I would like to say we're moving forward by restoring
Okay.
the standards, because when you go back, I think we've gone back with the Common Core. We've seen that it's failed. Let's nip it in the bud. It's never too late to change a bad decision. Common Core is a bad decision. And it is, and it's not a right or a left issue, as we see, and I can talk a little bit about the groups that have been very vocal on this. It's a right and wrong decision, and Common Core is wrong. There's no question about it.
Okay.
So a lot of things that you'll see like who's supportive of ending Common Core. Well, a lot of parents, as you know, because they've seen the curriculum now in place, and they're starting to say, in 2011, when I served on the Worcester School Committee, when I was first elected, before I was elected, I was asked a question at a debate and said, are you for or against Common Core? And I said, I don't even know what it is. So this is 2011. So I quickly did some research. I decided I was against it. And then I started to do extensive research on it. But in the summer 2010, we're all barbecuing. What happens? The state, Governor Patrick and Mitchell Chester, Commissioner of Education, decides to adopt the Common Core. Sight unseen, copywritten also, so we can't change it. And starts to slowly implement it behind closed doors. And when I say behind closed doors, I was talking to teachers in 2011, and they said there is no way we have the Common Core. And I said, you have the Common Core. Because what they were doing is they were using, even today, they are saying, we have the Massachusetts standards, but we've incorporated the Common Core. Well, that's wrong. We have the Common Core in Massachusetts. So so parents now are beginning to see homework coming home. And I'd like to say that I don't know a lot of parents, Gary, that have seen their children's textbook lately. They're coming home with the worksheets, but they're not coming home with the textbook.
You're right, and that bleeds into many other areas of education, especially history and things like that, that I really do want to see, what is being taught. Because again, it does mean something. But no, I haven't, to be quite honest with you. I don't think seen a textbook in a while. There's a couple of them that you see, but you're right. You don't think what's going on here, and it's true what you said before. We become alienated, and then we stay alienated because it's a system, and the system keeps us away. And what's in there?
So, well, I have to tell you, part of Common Core is what they call teaching across the curriculum. So what you'll have is if you're a history buff and you want your history taught properly in your schools, and maybe you have a really great history teacher. Well, the English teacher may have a paragraph or two that they are discussing in their English class. Well, that's great that they're discussing the grammatic part of that paragraph. But when they start to teach the historical part of that, that's called teaching across the curriculum. And we find that the kids are writing in gym class. That's wrong. Kids should not be writing in gym class. What they should be doing is they should be going out in, playing with the ball and volleyball and dodgeball. They should be getting exercise. And what I have found when I've been in many schools is that they are writing. So does the gym teacher, is he an expert in grammar? No, he's not.
And that's really happening.
So it's called writing across the curriculum. And what you're finding is that usually when somebody is voicing opinion on the history, sometimes it's not the history teacher. It is the English teacher or the math teacher.
That I know, and I believe that even here in town, I think that there's some of that going on. But I will say that they've made every effort that they can to include teachers, parents, meetings, and maybe it's not like that, in every town. But I did sit in on a couple of meetings, and I did get a feeling that, look, this is where we're at, and we need to make it better. And we're stuck here. I mean, this is what we have to do. This is the law. This is what it is. So this is the best that we think that we can make of it. And I think it's awful that our schools should be in that situation. So
Can I talk about the law for a second?
yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you said it's the law and we have to do it. Okay, it's a little bit of a tricky thing with the law. First of all,
It always is.
part of your statement is correct. Massachusetts has an assessment, whatever, right now it's the MCAS. By law, your school has to administer the MCAS. Okay, the MCAS is fairly in line with the Common Core right now. Believe it or not, they've been integrating Common Core questions throughout the years. So by law, your school has to give the MCAS or the PARC. By law, your child can refuse and she or he does not have to take it. By law, each local district can adopt any curriculum they want. They do not have to adopt the Common Core. And that's where the districts have, or the superintendents, have been very misleading in this state. And they have said that we have to, it's the law, we have to, no, we don't. Now, if you take on another curriculum and your child is being tested on Common Core, the MCAS or the PARC, then you have a problem because then your child may not do as well on the test. So see how it's a catch-all. So your superintendent may be doing the Common Core because they know it's aligned to the PARC and the MCAS, but by law, no district right now in Massachusetts has to have the Common Core.
Right, but the kids have to be able to pass the test.
Right now,
Which is based on?
All they have to do is pass the 10th grade test for graduation.
Okay, but if they don't teach those in those parameters, how are the kids ever going to pass the test?
So one of the things is that we don't want the department, the Board of Ed to adopt the PARC. Because so then we can start rolling forward or rolling back, whatever way you want to say it, and go back to the MCAS. So then we'll have the flexibility, if we get rid of the Common Core, is to be able to match the MCAS back with the math standards.
So I just email a coming in asking questions. Wondering, do we lose money if this initiative passed?
Well, let me ask you this. Are children taught in Texas anymore? They don't have the Common Core. Are children taught in Alaska? They don't have the Common Core. So will we be punished? Will we be threatened? Absolutely. But my philosophy is that, hey, there's 5 states right now that never, ever, ever adopted the Common Core. Are all their kids never being taught?
Okay, so just try to get an answer. But we do lose money.
We did get grant money,
Okay.
2010 to 2014. We're done. Now we're footing the bill ourselves.
We're footing the bill ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no money that's going to go away
Well,
that we know of.
that we know of.
Okay.
Our governor could pull an executive order tomorrow and pull us out of Common Core.
Okay.
But that just
If that
let
answers
you
your
know.
question, if it doesn't,
Yeah.
email me back.
Email back.
We'll get it
So
in
when
there.
we were talking about people that are opposed to Common Core, we talked about the teachers, the parents, and the next thing is the teachers. Well, a lot of teachers, you have to realize, that are opposed to Common Core may not be as vocal about it. And the reason is they were not informed in 2010. I've talked to many teachers. They said we're not doing the Common Core. And in fact, it was slowly but surely being integrated into their system. So the teachers are bound by being penalized if they speak up because the superintendents are so strong in being for the Common Core that they just don't want to lose their jobs. So they have to be protected by the union. So we've had three significant unions in the state of Massachusetts. We have the MTA, which is the largest Massachusetts Teachers Association, that asked for a 3-year moratorium on PARC in high-stakes testing. So which that means is they're not opposed to the PARC. Now, the president of the MTA has also written Barbara Mandaloni, several articles against the Common Core. So even though the MTA hasn't come out against the Common Core, they've come out with the test associated with it. You got the EAW, the second largest union in Massachusetts, that's the one out of Worcester, and their vote of no confidence on the PARC. They believe that Worcester Public Schools should put a 3-year pause on PARC also. And we have the American Federation of Teachers in Massachusetts that assembled in Burlington strongly opposed the implementation of PARC. Be it therefore resolved that the AFT Massachusetts president send the result of this vote to the president of every local and every central labor council, and be it further resolved that a committee of the AFT Massachusetts to be formed to bring locals together to organize against high-stake testing in PARC. So we're getting now, the union is slowly but surely getting on board, at least with the PARC. The teachers, if you talk to teachers individually behind closed doors, they're going to tell you they don't like the PARC. Now, if they're a brand new teacher, they don't know, they've been brought up in this Common Core at their teacher school. They were brought up with Common Core, so they don't know any better than Common Core. But if
Right.
you talk to someone probably more my age, a veteran teacher, you're going to find that they know how to teach. They want to just be left alone. They know how to get these kids to learn, and they are being over-tested. They're being over-papered. They're just stressed out to the max.
So email comes in, says, was just a year or two ago, MCAS was the big bad wolf. It seems like this whole Common Core has happened to make MCAS look good. Is MCAS good or just better than Common Core?
Well, the PARC, which is the test, is like the MCAS on steroids. So you have to just kind of, that's how it's amplified. Now remember, when the MCAS first was put into place, we talked about this. It was 4th, 8th, and graduation. Then they started testing every single year. So what you're getting is, do we have to look in also too, people are saying, well, the MCAS is old, it's been around 17 years. Well, the Patrick administration never put money into upgrading and updoing the MCAS. It kind of let it go, you know, if you don't take care of something, it's going to go down the drain. And what they did is they didn't put any money into it. So what happened was the MCAS started to get old. Well, the MCAS isn't old. The MCAS is one of the best assessments we have out there. Whether you like assessment or not, that's a whole different story. I believe we need some form of an assessment. Do I think we should test kids every single grade? No. Do I think the kids need to have a standardized test in kindergarten? No. Do you think the kids should be playing in kindergarten? Yes, they should be playing in kindergarten.
Do
You
we
know?
do we have any do we have any politicians in state on board with you, and if so, who are they?
Okay, so right now, you have to realize that we just started this out probably about 3 weeks ago. So we have Ryan Fatman.
He's ours.
He's yours. In
Partial,
okay.
part of us, right?
Okay, Kevin Kuros, Donnie Berthium, Joe McKenna, and now we're just, Jim Lyons, and I'm just starting to going through my list and making calls this week. So I will have, and we will post that on our Common Core MA page, so you know. Or you can send me an email, and I can give you my personal email, because that's fine
Sure,
too.
you can throw it out there.
It's like my name, dcolorio@gmail. Very easy.
And that's spelled Colorio.
Yeah, like color.
Just kind of like it sounds.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get rid of this Common Core. We're gonna be left with some type of an MCAS type of a driven. Are we
No, we're going to go back to the Massachusetts standards.
We're gonna go right back to the mass. So we're gonna go back to pre-MCAS
2010.
standards. Before there was MCAS.
No, at the same time.
At the same time.
Because at Ed Reform, we came up with the standards, and along with the standards, we came up with the assessment to go with the standards, and that was called the MCAS.
And that was
So it's
called
kind
the
of
MCAS.
like
So
a
will that
package.
exist? The MCAS?
It still exists now.
Right, but will it, I mean, because I think what a lot, and I've gotten a couple of emails, is as we peel this back, what does it look like is a common question that keeps popping in.
Well, I mean, we were number one in the country. That's what it looks like. We're slipping now.
Okay.
You know,
Fair enough answer.
we're still number one in the country, but we're going down and down with, our points, and we're looking worse and worse. So, I mean, the thing is, we have seen that it doesn't work. I showed you that, this guys. It does not work. This is our evidence-based. It does not work. Let's now go back to something that works. So we made a mistake, right? It was a bad choice. Let's get rid of it.
So on this, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I interrupt everybody.
That's okay.
As I look at this growing like this, okay,
Yep.
but from '94
For
up
ed reform.
until about
Yep.
2007, it's screaming along, right?
So you just talk the
Wh-
English.
what was going on there?
So we had 1994, we started ed reform, 223. Then we have 223 again, 98. Kind of like, a time where, just we're trying to get the, okay, so you see how that's even? Even. We weren't even when we implemented the Common Core. Then we went up to 228, 231, 236, 234, 237. All about the same thing. And now what we have is we have a significant drop. When you drop that much, you're saying, all right, we're on the wrong track. We didn't drop. Here we went down between 2007 and 2009. But we kept going up and up and up and up.
It does seem. I'm
And look
a
at the
numbers
math.
person, and I'll tell you, numbers usually don't lie, folks.
Yep.
Take politics
That's-
out of it.
Yeah,
because
take-
I think you've got to. I don't like to be. My politics, so I'm not usually in line with things that the unions may want or this or that. But I'm going to be quite honest with you. I mean, now these that we're reading, these numbers she's giving you are fourth grade reading scores.
And fourth grade is indicative. That's the grade
Right.
that's indicative of success for your child. So when your child is reading well in fourth grade, and if they're not reading well, I would suggest that you put some energy into that, because that is the grade you should nip it in the bud. It's the fourth grade. If you see that your child is slipping, that's when you should put the resources into your child, because fourth grade reading is indicative.
What do you got here? This looks
yeah.
interesting. I'll tell you something though. The bars on it are going down. I just want you to know.
Yeah, but this is all states.
That's
So-
okay.
So this is saying that, this is just giving you an idea of ed reform. So in 1992, the eighth grade math, now eighth grade math is indicative of success, because that's what it is. So in 92, when we started the ed reform, we were at 273, okay? And in 2007, during ed reform, we went to 298. So see our growth we had? We had tremendous growth in math in our state, because what we did is we had strong
And
standards.
where is it now?
I don't
do you
have
know
that
where
one.
we are?
I
You
don't
don't
have
have
that
that
one.
one
No,
with you?
I don't have that one with me.
Okay.
I know you love graphs.
I like the numbers, because you know what, folks, the numbers don't lie. I mean, if we started here and we said, look, we're going to implement this new program, it's going to be wonderful, and everything is going to get better. You know what? I'm not opposed to. I mean, like I said before early in the program, we test children. We all have to. I go to work. I have audits. I have things that have to get done, and if they're not done, then that's not a good thing. I think everybody in every profession, there's got to be oversight. But it looks to me as though the oversight is all sorts of warped. It seems to me that it's more of a control thing than it is an education thing, and especially here. Now, I will say, because we like to bring out all sides, that if I look at the fourth grade reading scores in the red, which is the national, okay, the national has eked up. It's a very slow crawl, but it has eked up. So I think your point is really sound, that education, and what I'm hearing, is really got to be a states' rights type of a thing. You've got to do what's best for your state. Education should be local, in my opinion. And I think that I don't want to see my kids in my state. Every kid, I guess, now is my kid in the state, but I don't want to see my kids suffer so that some kids in Arkansas, as you say, or somewhere else can excel. I think that states need to take care of their education.
Well, education
just
is
what I
not,
think.
and one size fits all.
True.
Okay, I had a different learning style than you. We all have different learning styles, and we have different ways we understand. Some of us achieve things early on, some of us don't. So when you're teaching a one size fits all curriculum, then we are getting the same thing as the kids in Mississippi. I do not believe in the achievement gap. I do not believe we take the top and the bottom and we move them together. I believe we raise everybody up. So even though Arkansas is down here, let's raise Arkansas up too. But Massachusetts, let's raise us up too. We shouldn't feel ashamed that we're so high up. Let's just move everybody up. Let's challenge
Well,
our
that's-
children. And that's what the Massachusetts,
Donna, that's America today. This, you can't win. They give trophies to everybody.
Right.
No one ever loses, and if you do win, you've got to somehow negate that to make it seem as though I don't know. What can I tell you? I'm about 5 minutes, I guess, before they start going crazy in there. So if there's any certain points you want to get out, I
Okay.
want to give you an opportunity.
okay,
Go
the
right
other
ahead.
point I want to say is that you're going to
ahead,
hear a
Donna.
lot of people say, oh, well, we've already implemented the Common Core and this has cost us so much money. We just don't want, if we get rid of it, look what will happen, all the teachers and everything like that. How about the $100 million we spent on the Massachusetts state standards in 93 and 94? We were willing to go like that, get rid of that in 2 seconds and get the Common Core sight unseen. So now we've put in so much money in the state and we're not willing to just go like that again. So my suggestion is that we go like that. We get rid of it. We lost leader in the business world and we just move on, So I just want to say that our ballot question, what it will do is, it says basically, do you support the Common Core standards, or would you be in favor of moving the state forward and going back to the Massachusetts state standards of pre-2010? And that's really the gist of it. And I just want to encourage people that if you're at home and you're listening, we really, really need your help, because 100,000 signatures is very difficult to maintain. Now, just to give you a little understanding of what I've been doing for the last 18 months. Last 18 months, I started a group. It was called Common Core Forum. It was supposed to be a statewide group, all volunteer. We accept no money. It's no money even from the Gates Foundation. All right, that's a joke. But anyways, we went around the state. We did education. We brought in national experts, Sandra Stosky, Jamie Gass from Pioneer Institute, and we went to towns and educated 25 people to 250 people. And we talked to them about facts, facts about the Common Core. So the interesting thing is, we did that. We also organized a petition to give to the Department of Ed and to the governor to tell them that we didn't want the Common Core. We got over 5,000 signatures with that. That was just an online signature drive. We have various Facebook pages. We've done a lot of writing. We were able to petition the school committee members because they didn't even realize a year ago that they had the right to vote whether they were going to do the park or the MCAS. They thought it was the superintendent's choice. So we reached out to thousands of school committee members and we stress the importance of staying with the MCAS. So we've lobbied hard on them. So this is all with no money, So we've been able to make a great impact. So the next logical step was we'd run a statewide ballot question. So that's
Sure.
where we are today.
Excellent. I wanted to give you guys a chance to come on. I'd like to be able to get some updates. If you're in the area, you certainly can stop in or give us a call on the phone. Let us know how it's going. If you do want to get involved, if this is something that you think you want to get involved in, or maybe it's something you want to learn more about because you just don't know, go to ncommoncorema.com. You can check it out. You can find me on Facebook for sure. I'll give you all my information, and you can certainly get into the Freedom Network that way as
And we
well.
have a Facebook page too.
Yeah, so
So
I
you
mean,
can
we get
like
lots
us on
of people
Facebook.
around doing all that kind of stuff. So it's it seems to me, folks. I'll be honest with you. I'm an opinion guy. That's what I do here every week. I give you my opinion. My opinion is, I think we get rid of this thing. That's my opinion. I am not really going to care about who's behind it, who's not behind it, who likes it, who doesn't. Although it looks like one of our reps is. I'm going to reach out to other reps and see what they think about it. Maybe we can get some of them on record. I just think that's where we got to go with it. I mean, it just seems to me that I'm looking at numbers, and the numbers are saying that we went down. If we went down, I don't want to go down. I want to go back up. I want to be number one, just like you do, and like I think everybody else does. So, interesting segue, because in about 10 minutes or so, we're going to get off the air in a minute here, and we're going to let them kind of come on in. Harry will be in. He's got Catherine Stickney, the superintendent of Northbridge Public Schools, will be here on his program, and they'll be talking about all kinds of stuff. This is not what they're going to talk about. I mean, they may. I don't know what they're going to talk about, but I believe that they're going to talk about the upcoming year, what's going on, all that kind of stuff. And I'll tell you, she's done a good job. I seem to get positive vibes from her around town and whatnot. So, as we wade into these really local issues and now statewide issues, but make sure you keep it here. Right on NCTV 11. I'm not sure if they're going to be online or not, but I know that they will be right here. If you're local, you certainly will be able to check them out. You're going to want to see it. I will tell you this. We're going to talk next time. We'll talk about Trump. We'll talk about CNN. We'll talk about some of the polling. I am going to tell you one thing, even though he's going to kill me, I'm going to tell you anyway. CNN has absolutely lost their minds over the national polls because Trump is... I'm going to tell you something, guys. This guy's moving up. I don't know. I mean, I'm not looking for your opinion on politics, but the guy's moving up. So we're going to talk about that. We'll have some fresh data for you. My name's Gary Rosenberg. Get me emails if you want any information on what we talked about today. And I will see you next week right here on the Freedom Network.